Hello everyone and welcome back guys to my third F1 2017 guide video. Now, I will admit it's been a long time. These are sort of very few and far between these guide series. But today we are here to discuss the fuel saving on this game. Now, obviously fuel saving does open up a lot of different race strategies for yourself. Obviously there is the element of you can push more, but obviously the car will be heavier at the start of the Grand Prix, or you can try and save more, so the car will be lighter throughout a lot of the Grand Prix, but obviously that does change based on the track. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to race 4 full laps around the Australian Grand Prix circuit. One is going to be in standard revs, the first one is standard revs, the second one is going to be lean revs, and the third one is going to be rich revs. So obviously this will give you overall a little bit of a different aspect, obviously how much each car, sort of saves fuel. I will be doing this with the Mercedes, obviously you can do it with different cars, but obviously on equal cars. Everything is basically based off the Mercedes Formula 1 car here. We're going to run 15 laps exactly worth of fuel for the start of these races, and obviously it's going to be just basically down to how much the car can obviously save fuel. Now obviously I'm going to try and match every single run, but we'll have to wait and see. But it's 5 lights on the grid ready for the standard run. You can see obviously we lose a little bit of fuel off at the start of the race there, obviously where the car obviously start of the grid revving, so obviously you'll burn more fuel and you're not going anywhere, so it's certainly a waste of fuel there. Sebastian Vettel does actually get the lead off me at the start of this race, but hopefully we can try and get back past him nice and quickly. And overall, standard revs, in my personal opinion, obviously I won't try and spoil too many results right at the start of the video, but I will sort of discuss over the course of each one, how I thought, sort of the car performed and such like. Now, obviously, standard revs was the first one I did. It's the first time I've been on this game today, so obviously you are a little bit rusty on it as well. But you can see, overall, still being able to clip the apexes there, nothing too dangerous. Obviously, muscle memory will kick in later on down the line, but obviously we'll have to wait and see when we get on to the lean and the rich rev laps. But standard, as I was saying, personally I'm not a particularly big fan of it. In all fairness, it's sort of, a lot of people sort of see it as the best of both worlds, but I sort of see it as the worst of both worlds almost. You don't really sort of get the kick down the straights, but you also don't really save that much fuel either, unfortunately. Now, obviously, overall standard revs I did find, as you'll see over the course of these 4 laps, it didn't really save me anything if I'm not mistaken. We sort of started this on around about minus 0.1 laps worth of fuel, around sort of that mark. And over the course of these 4 laps, it basically just stayed there, which is, overall, I was a little bit surprised. I sort of thought, we might be able to get it just about up to the green. Unfortunately, with the way this game works as well, the red is not the most visible thing in the world. You'll potentially just have to take my word for it. But I can assure you, it did basically just stay level. Now, another thing that we sort of had to look at was obviously fastest laps as well. Now, obviously, this isn't a perfect representation, because obviously, as I said, muscle memory sort of kicks in as well, but my PB in this race was I think a 1 minute 26.7 up in towards the final lap of the Grand Prix. Now obviously, as I said, muscle memory means that I will get quicker over the course of these 3 races, so obviously it's not the best baseline to follow on the whole, as you can see coming in towards this final lap, where I was starting to get a bit more used to the game. I had found a few more tenths. Now probably, realistically, if I'd done this again, I would have probably got, a 26 dead, I would have thought, there or thereabouts. So obviously that could have, played a little bit of a change into it as well. But overall, as all these runs are also on the completely stock setup, just completely ran into the race, just sorted out the fuel, and then obviously I went straight in. You can see we're on the super soft tyres as well, which obviously just the game decided it was better for me to do. But yeah, over the line on my final lap did actually set my PB there, 1 minute 26.3. And overall, as I said, no real fuel saving whatsoever there. The PB was overall mediocre at best, I'd say. So personally, yeah, I'm not a particularly big fan of the standard revs for that reason. But let's move on then into the lean revs. You can see on the grid once more, already in the lean, and make sure we got off to quite a good start there. Actually running a little bit of wheel spin, but not as bad as the first launch there. Sebastian Vettel behind me. They go 3 wide with his teammate and Valtteri Bottas there. So luckily for me, we are able to get through there nice and cleanly. Not exactly like the first run did cost me too much time either or, but overall, lean revs, I am, on the other hand, quite a big fan of. Personally, I feel, overall, you don't actually lose as much time from it, because I've just found, obviously, with F1 2017, where obviously the rear tyres are so wide, it's not too difficult to pick up traction anyway, but I sort of find 9 times out of 10, obviously, in dry conditions, the lean revs is very easy just to be able to put the power down nice and quickly there. So overall, I personally found, as I said, you don't really lose out too much time because of it, relative to the standard revs, and you also save quite a lot of fuel. As you can see, already by the end of lap 1, we're already nearly 0.3 laps up on the fuel there. So really, really good to see. You can see just ticking over that as we come through the first couple of corners there. But yeah, as I said, big fan of the lean mix. Obviously, I will discuss sort of towards the end of the video what I would personally say for strategy. But I think, yeah, lean is definitely your friend on this game around a lot of circuits. Obviously, it will change. It is a bit track dependent. Australia, although it's quite a lot of flat out areas, it's quite a lot of high full throttle areas of this circuit. I do sort of find that there is certainly a place for the lean revs. You can see my PB was a 1 minute 26.5 there, which actually overall was a very, very hooked up lap, if I do say so myself, which is obviously nice to be able to do. Only a couple of tenths slower than my standard lap there. And as I said, I really do feel that the cost to benefit is really, really good on the lean revs there. Just so much easier to pick up the traction on this car. It's certainly a savior in the wet as well. You can really, really just have a lot more confidence in the car, being able to reduce the wheel spin, minimize the wheel spin. Obviously as well, also very, very good for your tyre wear. So obviously if you're in a bit of a tight situation between, sort of either pitting on a one stop and going onto the softs or the super softs or whatever like that, obviously it can really, really help you with that as well. But by the end of that stint, 1.18 laps worth of fuel saved overall there, which is really, really good to see. 1.3 laps there or thereabouts saved over the standard revs there, which is really, really good. But now let's move on to the rich revs that we see. 5 lights, and away we go for the final time here at Australia. You can see down in towards turn 1 though. Once again, getting off to quite a decent start, not as good as the lean revs there, running a little bit wide through turn 1 as well. But yeah, rich revs as well, very, very fun to drive with, but also a little bit more of a risky game. Certainly not something I would recommend in wet conditions. Now obviously, when it comes to setups, obviously you'll usually be running a little bit of a looser setup than the standard one as well on this game. But yeah, I would personally say rich revs though, it's certainly very, very crucial. Personally, I always like, generally, unless it's raining, I like to overfill my cars on this game, sort of give yourself that little bit of extra oomph towards the start of the Grand Prix and also right towards the very end. If you have monitored your fuel well, and obviously especially around tracks like Monza and Spa, so much flat out areas on those two circuits, really, rich revs can really help you. It's a good sort of half a second to a second a lap quicker, obviously. We'll wait and see what my PB is over the course of this session as well. But yeah, personally, rich revs I think are actually, in my opinion, sort of a little bit overpowered, I feel, on this game. You don't lose out too much on the fuel, and you sort of gain a lot on the overall pace there. So personally, I'd like to think, ultimately, obviously the pace is all dependent as well, and obviously your consistency on this game. But if you're able to get, nice, easy traction out of most of the corners on this game, I really do feel rich revs are a little bit on the OP side. They're really, really useful. To see my first lap of the Grand Prix at 29, and then we instantly go onto a 1 minute 25.2 there. So, 1.1 seconds up on my standard lap there. As I said, all the lap times aren't exactly the 100% representative, as muscle memory does kick in, obviously. By the end of this, I felt very, very confident back in the car, but overall the fuel wasn't terrible. It's not as bad as I actually originally thought it would be, but we were still using sort of just over about 1.2 laps worth of fuel a lap, there or thereabouts, 1.2, 1.25 by the end of this stint as we come through on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Actually another 10th up on my PB. If I'm not mistaken, I wasn't able to unfortunately better it by the end of the Grand Prix. But yeah, overall, I'd say top tips from me personally would be, you want to be running rich revs as much as possible if you're confident with the power on the scheme. As you've seen there, just kicking out the back end ever so slightly, been able to collect it all back up quite comfortably on this game. Now personally, I felt on F1 2016 lean revs were actually very, very important, because it meant obviously you could save the tyres, and obviously tyre wear was a lot more critical on that game. But especially with how easy it is on the traction, how easy it is on the tyres, I really sort of feel that rich revs are very much the way forward on the F1 2017 game. But coming through in towards the final couple of corners of this lap, all 3 runs overall I'd say were pretty damn clean on the whole. But out of the final corner, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to beat my PB there, as we made a couple of little mistakes through the final sector of the lap. But yeah, run rich revs, run lean revs more over than standard revs. You sort of, in the ideal world, obviously if you're really sort of wanting to sweat it out, you want to be running rich revs down the straights, going back down into lean revs in the corners, and then once you get up to about 4th gear, you want to be going back up into the rich revs on this game. But there we are then. That has been the end of the fuel saving run. You can see 1.18 laps worth of fuel saved by the very end of that session. Sorry, 1.18 laps extra used even, by the end of that session there. But overall, a little bit of an interesting experiment. If you guys have got any sort of ones you want me to do on the channel as well, do not forget to like and subscribe. If you're here from the AOR driver advice program as well, don't forget to, just tag me and ask me any more questions about this as well. But thank you all so much for watching. Do not forget to like, subscribe if you're new around here, and I will see you guys next time for a brand new video.